Chapter 5, Enter Nora, or When You Find Out Your Friend is Clairaudient. When we left off in Chapter 4, I had called 911 and had seen my grandfather's soul quit his body. He passed away on December 19th of 2015. I was alone. Boy, was I alone. You can imagine how vulnerable and sad I felt, and just really didn't know what to do because now, within the span of a year and a half, I'd lost my mother, and now I just lost my grandfather, who really was more like my dad to me. Hospitals are lonely places. Weird and scary Christmas. There were so many weird things that happened to me after my grandfather died. A spider bit me. I'm pretty sure it was a tarantula. I couldn't stand up on my own and felt dizzy. That sent me to Banner Hospital, the same hospital that my grandfather had been pronounced dead in. Here's a hospital selfie. Weird and scary. One evening, I was sitting on the couch, staring into space, feeling terrible, when I heard like a knock on the door. It was about, 9 o'clock at night, and I could hear a man's voice talking on a cell phone and talking about things that didn't really seem too savory. He seemed to be involved in some kind of gang activity. My blood ran cold. I quietly slipped into another room and tried to make no noise whatsoever, holding my breath and praying this person would leave before doing something crazy. As I found out later, there had been a series of break-ins in the neighborhood, and there was a group of guys that were just going around knocking on people's doors, either trying to see whether anyone was home or if someone would be foolish enough to actually open the door. If you were foolish enough to actually open the door, you'd be, tied up, your stuff taken, and God knows what all else. I was not having a Merry Christmas. After the ordeal of going to the hospital, sitting alone in the waiting room where the doctor who came out to tell me that he was very sorry, but that my grandfather was no longer among the living, I was feeling very, very isolated, alone, and quite frankly, scared. Here I was in a state where I really didn't know anyone and with no real means of support. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know where to turn. Who could I trust? Fortunately, God did know, and that's when an angel came in the form of an old friend of mine, whose name was Nora. I got a phone call. Hey, hun, what's going on? It's your old pal Nora. I'm here in Arizona. I'm on vacation. Give me a call. I'd like to catch up and see what you're up to. This is my number. Talk to you soon. They say that everything happens for a reason. And this is something I have become more convinced of in hindsight. As it turns out, Nora wasn't having the best of times with the person that she had been staying with. This had been a long-term friendship, but they were experiencing a little friction. Could she come stay? I said, sure, that'd be wonderful, because guess what? Fernando just passed away, and I'm here alone, and I would love the company. Nora had been slated to meet Grandpa. She was going to meet him, but in a different way that I didn't expect at all. She could hear spirit. This ability means that you are clairaudient. I'll get back to Nora in a moment, but in the meantime, I had to announce Grandpa's death. I had to call a couple of people and let them know, of course, what happened. These were people that had known him for a long time and that he had had quite a number of interactions with. I would say that these were people that he trusted. However, my sixth sense was telling me that everything was not as it appeared to be. They say that when people die, you get to see the true colors of the people that are around you. Let's get to the backstory. My grandfather had made his own funeral arrangements several years before. He did not want to have a big funeral and a ceremony. If I'd heard it once, I'd heard it 1,000 times. This was his reasoning. First of all, I don't want people crying. I don't want them all upset. 2, people may not have, my family members may not have the money, to put together a funeral. 3, I'm going to be dead, so I'm not going to feel it anyway. He was very, very clear about that. So, as a family, when we spoke about it, we agreed that we wanted to follow his wishes. However, there was a counter desire or a counter movement by these individuals who wanted to have, a kind of a celebration of life for him. So I said to them, yeah, of course, this was his kind of adopted home, and there were so many people who he meant so much to. Of course, you have our blessings as a family to go ahead and have, an observation and a celebration of life as you wish, but no one, aside from myself, is going to be coming out to attend this occasion. And that's where I almost got into trouble. This is the part that I call the setup. Thank God for angels. One of these people actually came over to the house to have a conversation because they said that they wanted to, sort of explain to me what this ceremony was going to look like. You see, my grandfather had a safe, and in that safe, he had some valuable items. The person in question who was coming over knew the combination to that safe. And even though I was supposed to get that information in the eventuality that my grandfather moved on, somehow or another, that was something that was not taken care of. That information was never passed on to me. So the time came, they came over, they sat down next to me on the couch, and when they noticed that Nora was actually in the room because she was sitting at a distance away at the dining table and saw her, I could see, and we noticed a visual change of expression like, uh-oh, this isn't going according to plan. I'm going to have to change things up. They'd been counting on me being alone. However, I still wanted to see whether this person was going to be honest with me or not. So I said to them at the end of this little, get together or session that we had, hey, do you know the combination to the safe back there? Could my erstwhile visitor open it? And he said, yeah, I think I remember that. So we got up and we took a stroll into my grandfather's bedroom and went to the closet area where my grandfather had this safe. So he went ahead and tried the combination once, twice, 3 times, and then went, I thought I knew the combination, but I guess I didn't. When I get home, I'll call you and give you the combination. So I thanked him and said, that would be great. He never called. You see, this person had told me that he thought the combination was his birthday, but I knew better. My grandfather's birthday was not the correct numbers to open that safe. How did I know that? I knew that because my grandfather had told me that several days before he passed away. While he didn't give me the combination, he told me what it wasn't. So from that moment on, I knew that this person had an agenda, and that if Nora hadn't been there, Lord knows, we probably would have had a tussle. We probably would have come to blows. And then I'd get another phone call. The music that you were listening to at the beginning of this chapter is my song, Dehi no Smin. A Dragon's Lullaby is accredited to Steve Buckley, Creative Commons License 4.0. And now it's time for an Easter egg.